Hello, you beautiful people. My name is Luke, and today we are back from the dead. Sorry for not uploading, I've been hella busy, but here we are. Today I wanted to tell you guys some surefire ways to make sure you win your fantasy basketball finals matchups. As always, feel free to drop a like on the video and subscribe if you enjoy it. It only takes 1 second for you, and it really helps the channel out. With that being said, let's get into it. So the first and most important thing that I think you need to do to win finals week, and this might seem fairly obvious, is you gotta stream. And when I say stream, like, you have to use every single acquisition that you have available for the week. And you have to be smart about it too. Like, you can't just go out on your first night and be like, oh, I'm gonna pick up 10 guys and use all your acquisitions for the week. You really have to plan out methodically when you're gonna pick these guys up, what nights. You gotta look at the matchups, who's playing on their rosters, who's playing on the other team's rosters. Like, there's a lot of planning that I think goes into streaming that I think is being underrated right now. And you really just got to be advantageous when you decide what players you're going to stream. I definitely recommend joining the Discord through the link in the description and turning on the notification bell for Fantasy Labs so you get live updates on every single injury or roster change that happens in the NBA. It's a super useful feature to have, and it's allowing me to really pick up good streaming options. Like, for instance, tonight, DeLon Wright, Marvin Bagley, really good options because the injuries on the Kings. And that's just one example of how I've been staying up to date on terms of who I'm going to stream this week. So yeah, I definitely recommend doing that. And I'm also going to be back making the videos on daily streaming options. Apologies for not doing them, like I said, been busy. But I'll try to get one out tomorrow for you guys. I know they were helping a lot of you guys out, and I hate to disappoint. So we'll try to get back with that tomorrow. But anyway, now that we're done with streaming, the next point would be to hard punt categories. So obviously this doesn't really apply if you're in a points league. This is more for category league settings. But if you have players that are like specialists or like not very good contributors in the areas that you're focusing on, then I would highly recommend moving away from them. So this is obviously going to apply more to like waiver wire type players, but if you have guys that aren't really helpful, like, you need to really decide to punt your categories. Like, you really need to focus in on it. Like, I know for some of the season you can get away with coasting through and having guys that are like main contributors in the categories you're punting, but they provide like some peripheral value in the categories you're focusing on. You can't really afford to have those guys on your team right now. I would rather just completely focus on the categories and get rid of ones that you aren't trying to win, because you really need to maximize your team's production this week if you're going to get a chance to win your finals week. And then that kind of brings me into my third point, which is don't be afraid to drop injured players. There are so many injuries this week, and one of the most frequently asked questions I'm seeing is, should I drop them? Should I drop them? If you guys haven't seen it already, I did make a should you drop these players video where I gave a checklist of steps to go through before you make that decision. But if you go in that video, a lot of people aren't actually using the checklist and they're still asking. Like I said, if you don't have any IR spots, if you only have one IR spot and you have more than one injury, I would just go ahead and look at dropping them. Like, for instance, Christian Wood, if he doesn't play on Wednesday, I'd just go ahead and drop him. The Rockets only have 3 games this week. You can't really afford that. Maybe you'll be able to pick him up later if the other person in your finals doesn't pick him up first. And that's something to look at, because you got to know the waiver order of your league before you drop someone like Christian Wood, because if he does end up playing, then you're kind of going to look like a clown if someone else that you're playing in finals picks him up and then you end up taking an L. But yeah, definitely something to consider. Check out the video on dropping injured players. I think for the majority of cases, I'd be really okay with dropping someone. I wouldn't be hesitant at all at dropping someone like Darius Garland. And then another example would be like De'Aaron Fox. Like, if your finals are this week, just drop him, man. And then Donovan Mitchell, he's a drop now as well. He's out for another week. I mean, obviously this doesn't apply if your finals is next week. This is more for people whose finals is this current week. But yeah, just something to consider. Don't be afraid to drop your injured players, regardless of their name value. Which brings us in perfectly to the fourth thing on my list. It's going to be like, don't look at name value. When we look at guys like D'Angelo Russell, yeah, he's a great name value player, but the T-Wolves only have 3 games this week. He hasn't been great this season so far for the Wolves. He was facing an injury. After they're done their game on Wednesday, I'd go ahead and drop D'Angelo Russell, honestly. I'd rather, if you have like no waiver wire players to drop, I think D'Angelo Russell is a really good option to drop in terms of picking up like a streaming option. I'd much rather stream like 5 guys like in the D'Angelo Russell spot than deal with D'Angelo Russell's 2 games. I feel like you're going to get a lot more production out of that, and you won't have to deal with D'Lo's shit anymore. But yeah, like I said, D'Lo does have capabilities of having a good game, but I just feel like streaming 5 waiver wire guys who you might be able to get from the videos I put up. Future plug. Shout out to future me. But yeah, that's just something that's going to give you a lot more value than 2 games out of D'Angelo Russell. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is that when they're done, you're done. So once their season's over, in terms of their fantasy season, like when they have no more games left in the week, you go ahead and you drop these players like instantly, like as soon as their last game ends. And obviously this doesn't apply for dynasty leagues, because then your league resets, or with keepers leagues where you guys like hold on to players for the next season. But if you're in like standard points leagues, category leagues, roto leagues, etc., then this is just something that you really need to pay attention to because, for instance, the Hawks' last game is on Thursday, and once that game's done, there is no reason to keep Trae Young, Clint Capella, Bogdan Bogdanovic, any member of the Hawks on your team. Shout out Reigns in the Discord for letting me know that the Hawks' last game was on Thursday. You're a goat, but yeah, that's just something that I think is imperative to look at. Like, if their last game isn't on a Sunday, if they're done on a Saturday, you drop them. I don't care if they're LeBron James or whoever. But anyway, I'll link the fantasy basketball schedule link that I use in the description below. So if you want to check that out for yourself, then you'll get a better idea of when every team's last game are. But real quick, I'll just give you guys whose last games aren't on Sunday. So once Saturday night hits, these are teams who, if you have guys on their team, you're going to want to drop. So teams that don't have their last games on Sunday are going to be the Hawks, the Nets, the Nuggets, the Golden State Warriors, the Rockets, the Pacers, Memphis Grizzlies, Milwaukee Bucks, 76ers, Trailblazers, and then the Spurs, the Raptors, the Jazz, and the Wizards. So like I said, I'm going to link that in the description to check out for yourself. Obviously, this doesn't apply if your finals are next week. Then it'll be a completely different schedule, so you will actually have to check that out for yourself. But I think that's going to wrap it up for the video. I want to thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been a really fun fantasy season. I'm hoping to get out the last few videos for waiver wire options. But I really appreciate all the support. This has been my first year on YouTube. And I've been having a really good time making videos for you guys. And I'm glad you're enjoying it. So yeah, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. And as always, I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day.